Transmite en su canal de frecuencia modulada e estereofónica multiplex La Voz Radio, desde New Haven, Connecticut, al mundo.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a sunny day. It's making us realize spring equinox is right around the corner. Not too far from having no more snow and time for trees and flowers and bees. I had to rhyme. Están escuchando Juntos Podemos, Together We Can. Thank you for listening. WNHH 103.5 FM every Monday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. La primera parte, media hora, será en inglés y por favor sintonice, estén con nosotros de vuelta en español a las 3:30. Pero por el momento vamos a hablar en inglés y tenemos con nosotros dos personas que viven en apoyar al medio ambiente, incluyendo nuestros árboles aquí en New Haven. Y antes de introducirlos, vamos a tener un video. So we have with us today two special guests, and before we introduce them, we will actually show you a video. They dedicate their lives in support of our beautiful environment, including trees. So this is something from last year, showcasing a little bit about who they are.
Defenders land jobs while they help out the environment as well. News 8 photojournalist Tom Parent shows us how dedicated these men are in making a difference in this week's Working for Connecticut.
Our project this year is to plant 560 trees, and that's between the fall planting season and the spring planting season. We plant 330 trees in the fall. In the spring, we'll plant 230 trees. My name's Katie Beecham. I work with Urban Resources Initiative as the manager of the Green Skills program. While we're primarily an environmental organization, we're also always looking for ways to serve the social needs of the city.
Emerge and URI partnered up years back. A lot of rocks in there. Emerge has been working for URI, doing this all over New Haven. The program is great. You know, they help out release felons out of jail back into the workforce. My name is Herman Gary, and I'm a assistant supervisor for Emerge Connecticut. I'm the muscle of the crew. What's up, man? This is our area, you know, like we born and raised in New Haven, most of us anyway. A lot of trees are getting taken out, so we're trying to make a little difference, you know.
I just want to thank URI for giving this house a tree so the kids could play and to make our street look a little better.
My name is Jose Rosario.
Ernest Booker. I'm out here, you know, for a change. It's been a while for me, so linked up with Emerge. Been there for 4 months. It's going pretty good for me.
Well, I'm out here, you know, to make society better, make places look better, planting trees, just to get a better future for myself. It's all about teamwork. Without teamwork, we can't get nothing accomplished.
What, you're asking if we can do it? If I'm on the team, we could do it. Yeah, as long as I'm here, we doing it. We getting them trees in the hole.
That was so beautiful. That was from last year's news report from WTNH New Haven. And we have with us someone who was introduced in that news report last year, Katie Beecham.
That's right. Beecham, yeah.
Beecham. Yep. So great to have you here today. And one of your board members,
yeah.
Volunteer. He does everything. Ed Rodriguez. What a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
Are there any trees out there you'd like to say hello to? And so that was a beautiful collaboration with Emerge that is providing opportunities for those who are re-entering back into New Haven who are formerly incarcerated, and talk about doing good for the future of New Haven, where trees equal life. They really help the community, not only in the short term, but in the long term. If you could say a little bit about why trees are so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trees and tree planting is a really powerful thing. And there's a lot of benefits that the trees themselves provide. Certainly, they clean the air, so all the pollution that's in the air from cars or from factories, a lot of those little chemicals will stick to the leaves of the tree, and the tree can act kind of like a filter, filtering out those pollutants by processing them, making our air cleaner. And of course, the trees produce oxygen, making it so much easier to breathe. It's one reason why in the summer, you're walking down a nice shady street with trees on it, it feels easier to breathe, not only because that there's greater oxygen, but also because there's shade, so they really cool the air too. Another way that trees are helpful is with the control of stormwater. So a lot of people in New Haven experience flooding if they're downtown or if they're in certain neighborhoods, and adding trees actually serves to filter some of that water, collect it from the streets, and keep it from entering our stormwater sewer system. So trees sort of act like sponges that way. And of course, aesthetically, they're fantastic. A lot of people, we plant solely for people who request trees, who ask for them, that are residents or business owners in New Haven. And the number one reason we found over the years why people ask for trees is because of the beauty. They want to make their house, they want to make their block a more beautiful place to live. And so the aesthetics is a big part of it too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that long, important list, and you did it in a very short amount of time, which gives us a lot of time to talk about more. And when you were working on this initiative in 2018, there was the goal of 560 trees to be planted, 330 in the fall, 230 in the spring. Were you able to reach that goal?
Yeah, we reached the goal.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. And that is really, it's the city that sort of sets that target for us, and that is based on the amount of money that they budget for trees in the fall and the spring, and then we based our goals off of that budget.
And who were all of the different groups of people that helped? So Emerge, thank you Emerge for making that possible. And who else?
Well, we're a nonprofit and university partnership. So URI actually is based at the Yale School of Forestry. And so it was founded by a School of Forestry professor. And to this day, we get to tap into the educational resources of Yale. And we actually also work with a lot of their student interns during the spring, the fall, and the summer.
And so how many full-time staff are there?
We are a staff of 6. We are 3 full-time, 3 part-time.
And so 6 who planted 560 trees couldn't happen without Emerge, couldn't have happened without volunteers.
That's exactly right.
So who are the other volunteers?
Well, our 2 main programs that URI runs is the program that you saw about in that news story, which is a fall and spring tree planting and job skills program. And we partner with, like in the news story said, prison survivors who are a part of Emerge, another nonprofit in the city. And then in the summer, our separate program is called Community Green Space. And this was actually our original flagship program. And through that summer program, what happens is volunteers, neighbors, people from, who get together along a block that have some kind of idea about the way that they want to improve their block or their neighborhood, they can get together and they can apply to URI for support. And so then we provide that support in the form of interns who are trained about different types of trees and plants and can kind of help advise what to plant.
And that introduces us to Mr. Ed Rodriguez. And so you are a volunteer. How long have you been part of URI?
Estoy trabajando con este programa hace 8 años.
For 8 years. Por 8 años, increíble. Pero usted ya era muy jovencito para estar haciendo eso 8 años atrás. You were way too young to have started that 8 years ago. And so you have a love of trees. Usted tiene un enlace con los árboles que va más como a nivel espiritual. ¿Nos puede explicar un poco de eso?
me encantan los árboles. Me encantan las aves. Están alrededor que estén alrededor de mi casa. El propósito de este programa, como lo ha explicado Katie, es cuando las reunimos en el próximo 2 meses, empezamos a ir casa por casa preguntándole a algunas de las personas en el barrio a ver si ellos quieren árboles al frente de su casa. Los requisitos que queremos, que le pedimos a los residentes es que nos ayuden a plantarlo, sembrar los árboles y mantenerlos durante un par de años, hasta que el árbol se afirme las raíces. Y
pues si me da un segundito para traducir, de que Mr. Ed Rodriguez, volunteer board member, has been in support of URI for 8 years, and he has actually gone door to door in neighborhoods to see if neighbors would like to have a tree. That's how this program works. People have to ask for the tree, and so wanting to see who wants to have a tree because they're beautiful. And I asked Mr. Ed Rodriguez where his love of trees come from, and he also said he loves the birds too. So the birds love the trees as well. Entonces, los requisitos, nomás tengo que traducir eso también. So in order to be able to qualify to have a tree planted for free, nonetheless, it's free, you have to commit to care for the tree, making sure it has the water that it needs. Y entonces hay que darle agua para poder obtener un árbol, comprometerse uno a darle agua. ¿Y qué más?
Mantenerlos y asegurarse que nadie los abuse, o sea, los destruya. Tenemos durante el programa, reunimos los demás personas con mi grupo y vamos a sacarle la hierba alrededor de los árboles durante el año también. Wow. Y además las personas que quieran un jardín en el frente de su casa, también le proveemos jardines.
De veras, las plantas alrededor de...
el frente del patio le hacemos jardines.
De veras.
Y todas las plantas y las flores son gratis.
Okay, this just got even better. Not only working with URI do you get access to free trees, but you also get access to free plants to develop your front yard garden, to beautify your space. So URI will lay it out, help you, and actually plant those plants for you.
Well, the real one of the biggest benefits of this part of the program is that it's actually the neighbors who are working together who are doing the planting. So URI can help with the design, but ultimately it's the neighbors who are kind of creating the vision, and they're the ones doing the heavy lifting of digging in the soil.
Of what you're saying is, though, it's not only creating a community of trees and flowers and plants, but a community of people who are working together and establishing healthier relationships with one another. Like, I've lived in New Haven now half of my life, a little bit more than half of my life, and I've known neighbors who don't know each other for over 40 years, living next to each other. And one of the first times I actually spoke to my neighbor was when my mom asked to get URI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah. So this was like about 8 years ago.
Wow.
And the tree is strong and beautiful. And I had checked in with my mom's neighbor next door to see if they also wanted a tree. So those relationships last a long time. I don't live in the neighborhood anymore, but my mom's neighbor says hi to me every time now. Whereas before we didn't even say hi. Like, I guess we were too shy to say hi. And now we do say hi every time.
Even before I worked full-time with URI, I relocated to a new neighborhood because I had volunteered with their planting group in the past in the summer, and it was such a great group of people that I decided I actually wanted to live in that neighborhood and along that block to be around those people. And sure enough, I mean, one great thing about the program is that as soon as the summer ends, it's not like your neighbors leave. Your neighbors are still there, and I found that working with my neighbors, all of a sudden we were also planning birthday parties for people's daughters, or picking things up from the store, or asking for a ride, borrowing a car when it was needed. So it was kind of all these sort of intangibles that the program actually kind of can help facilitate. You don't even realize it necessarily when you're doing the work of planting a shrub, and it's not until later that you realize, like, wow, I didn't just plant a plant, I planted relationships, I planted kind of familiarity with people.
That's beautiful. And so when people are looking at trees, people have their favorite trees. So I'm going to ask Mr. Rodriguez, what is your favorite tree? ¿Cuál es su árbol favorito?
Bueno, para mí son todos.
Oh, good answer. You can't discriminate against any tree.
No, para mí son todos.
El árbol favorito suyo es todos. Ajá. Nice.
Voy a decir algo más. Cuando hacemos los jardines, los dueños de su propiedad tienen una opción de nosotros tomar muestras de la tierra, que casi siempre hay plomo, y entonces hacemos pruebas gratis. Para estar seguro de que ahí se pueda sembrar el jardín en el frente de la casa.
Eso es bien importante.
La organización las manda al laboratorio, y entonces podemos nos dan los resultados y está propio para sembrar las plantas en el frente de la casa.
Ah, qué bonito. ¿Y plantas que uno come también, o solo flores?
Solo
de
flores
decoración.
por ahora, sí.
Qué bonito. So, Mr. Rodriguez mentioned that another benefit of requesting for support from URI to get flowers and plants and trees, and the neighborhood members come in and help plant them, or other volunteers, is that there's also a soil test done for you for free. Because unfortunately in New Haven there is a lot of lead contamination in the soil, and in some parts even more types of contamination aside from just lead, so that they could also test the soil for you and give you the results for free. That's really important, because especially if kids are playing outside, you'd want to know what are the contaminants out there, including lead. And so in terms of Connecticut, what are some of the native trees that are gone now?
Yeah, it's
and we're known as the Elm City.
Yeah, that's right. Certainly, and we have a legacy of elms in this town, and it's a pretty profound legacy, and it extends even to a lot of other parts of the state. And as early as the 1700s, there were early settlers here who were in love with some of the elm trees that were a big part of New Haven. And New Haven, it's funny to think of it now because it's very urban, was actually really a swamp. And so a lot of the trees that grew in New Haven before it was as urban as it is now are swamp-loving trees, and elms were one of those. And so
I didn't even know the correlation between the two. That's fascinating.
That's right. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, elms were a big part of the city, and the reason the city has the nickname the Elm City is because of people's love for the trees. They grow fast, they grow large, they have this branch architecture that it's upright and spreading, so it can create these beautiful green tunnels over streets, and that's one of the reasons that they were planted so prolifically. But even as soon as like the early 1800s, 1830s or so, there started to be some problems with cankerworms, and even the horses. There's really interesting documentation of horses back in the day. They would strip the bark off the trees and kind of damage them that way. And then later there was an elm bark beetle that came and sort of started to cause problems. And then finally this fungus called Dutch elm disease started spreading, and as soon as that fungus spread, it was really hard to stop, and it decimated almost all of the elms in the city. Wow. So that today, really the main ones that are left are ones that are large standing elms that are in these isolated pockets where the disease couldn't spread to them.
Oh, good.
So it's really fun to be driving along a New Haven street, and all of a sudden, you know, in the one side of Norton Parkway, there's a giant elm, or you go down Adeline Street in the hill, and there's one giant elm, or actually, in the New Haven Green is where they're the most elms still, and that is because those elms are actually treated for the disease, so that it's just like humans. You know, you can treat a tree also to be resistant to a disease. So those trees are treated, and that's why they've continued to do so well. But yeah, it's a tough loss.
And so, trying to be eco-friendly and supporting native trees, but the environment has changed.
That's exactly right.
So what we would consider native to New Haven, our environment, man-made change of the climate in which the trees have to grow has shifted. So under the present time, which ones would be considered, you know, good for the tree to be planted in this particular climate, the right amount of water that Mother Nature can provide with some support when they're little. But what are those trees that we should think of?
Yeah, there's a lot of great native trees that still can withstand the different conditions of an urban environment. And when you're talking urban environment, you're talking about things like the soil might be really squished, really compact from all the development. It might have more salt because the roads get salted. It might be in a wind tunnel, because anybody who's walking down New Haven Street knows certain streets you turn down, it's just you get blasted with wind. There's heavier pollution, so things like that. But there are plenty of native trees who can actually miraculously deal with all of that. Some of them that we plant are things like oaks, white oaks, swamp white oaks, pin oaks, red oaks. These are all native trees, really prominent in any forest you're going to walk through in Connecticut. You'll see the oak trees. Maples are also another one that a lot of people think about, that are kind of iconic for Connecticut.
And do all maples, you can tap syrup?
Actually, not all maples do people really tap. The fact is, you can tap both red maples and sugar maples, and they both have a sweet sap. Most people think about sugar maples as being the main trees that you tap. And sugar maples we can still plant, but they actually tend to be on the sensitive side. So we can really only plant those in areas that are really protected, that have a lot of good soil, and where the tree's not going to be getting really stressed out from the elements. That's where we can plant the sugar maples. Red maples, they grow like gangbusters. They are very hardy. You can plant them almost anywhere, and they do pretty well. And then, you know, both red and sugar maples have the iconic fall color that's just very rich.
And so scientists say plants, trees grow when humans talk to them. So regardless of what people believe, there's oxygen and carbon dioxide, CO2 exchange.
That's right.
That can maybe be part of why they're growing. And so, Mr. Rodriguez, do you talk to the plants that you care for, the trees that you care for?
I talk to my plants.
So you're giving it all. You're giving the breath to help support its life.
Yes.
And so the trees are alive. So a big part, as Mr. Rodriguez said, is if anyone is interested in having a tree planted, being willing to care for it until its roots are strong enough where then it can fend for itself. And how often do you have to water the tree during the week? How many days of the week do you have to give it water?
It's once a week. The first is
3 years or so.
Por lo menos 3 años. A lo que la las raíces.
So that on average it takes about 3 years for a tree's roots to be strong enough so that within those 3 years watering the tree once a week. That's it, just once a week.
Once a week.
¿Y como qué cantidad de agua?
25 galones. Es un cubo de 5 galones.
Sí.
Pail. 5 en la semana.
Entonces 25 galones. 25 gallons of water for one tree.
Yeah.
And so let's say you're getting a fruit tree. Do you also have to test the soil for lead? If you're getting a fruit tree and you want to eat the fruit?
No, that's actually the city doesn't allow us really to plant trees that have big edible fruits that humans eat. But we plant a lot of trees that have small fruits that the birds eat. But not as many.
Like blueberries, stuff like that.
Oh, blueberries for the birds? Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. A Juneberry is another one that some people know. It also goes by the name serviceberry, or shadblow is another tree that's got really sweet berries in the summer. And then plenty that the birds like hawthorns.
Los blueberries, yo le ayudo a los birds to eat it.
So, Mr. Rodriguez, one for me, one for the birds. One blueberry for me, one for the birds. 3 for me, 1 for the birds.
That's right.
That's right.
That's great. And so this is such a wonderful guide here. Guide to New Haven trees.
That's right.
So someone actually went around and documented the names of the existing trees that we have throughout New Haven.
That's right.
And you can find out which ones are native, typically how tall they grow, how are their leaves, will it flower in its process. This is such a beautiful gift that anyone can have. It's accessible on your website.
That's right.
URI. We're going to put the website on. Si puede poner la página del internet. Thank you all for listening. Now we'll continue this great conversation in Spanish at 3:30 y vamos a continuar en español a las 3:30.
Health Center Inc. estrena nuevo centro médico en el 22 de Fifth Street en Stanford. Todos los servicios médicos, pediátricos, de atención urgente y de salud mental en nuestro nuevo edificio con amplio estacionamiento. En Community Health Center Inc. creemos que tu salud es un derecho, no un privilegio. Community Health Center Inc. 22 de Fifth Street en Stanford, Connecticut. 203-323-8160.
Cementerio Evergreen, un refugio de tranquilidad, una tradición de servicio. No espere hasta el momento más difícil de su vida. Espacios tan bajos como $850. Plan de pago sin intereses disponible. Entierro completo. Entierro de cremación. Nichos de cremación. Jardín de dispersión. Marcadores y monumentos. Programa de flores. Evergreen Cemetery. 769 LT Grasso Boulevard, New Haven, Connecticut. 203-624-5505 www.evergreencem.org.
Estas son las noticias más destacadas ahora. La primera ministra de Nueva Zelanda, Jacinda Ardern, confirma que tras el tiroteo en 2 mezquitas el viernes, el gobierno ha decidido reformar las leyes sobre armas. Ardern prevé anunciar reformas en menos de 10 días. Esto mientras continúa la identificación de las 50 víctimas mortales. Al menos 3 personas murieron y 9 más resultaron heridas en un tiroteo en una tranvía en Utrecht, Holanda. A tempranas horas de la tarde del lunes, las autoridades holandesas informaron que el hombre que sospechan que llevó a cabo el ataque fue arrestado. Más temprano indicaron que se está considerando un posible motivo terrorista para el tiroteo. El candidato Beto O'Rourke recaudó $6,1 millones en las primeras 24 horas de su campaña presidencial, dijo su campaña este lunes, en lo que es la mayor recaudación en el primer día entre los aspirantes demócratas hasta el momento. El ex congresista de Texas recaudó $6.136.763 en donaciones en línea de los 50 estados en Estados Unidos. Eso supera los $5,9 millones que el senador Bernie Sanders dijo que recaudó después de que lanzó su campaña. El otro candidato demócrata del 2020 más cercano en esta cifra del primer día fue la senadora Kamala Harris de California con $1,5 millones. Facebook y otras campañas en redes sociales batallan para detener la propagación de videos de los ataques a mezquitas de Nueva Zelanda en sus sitios. Facebook dijo el domingo que eliminó 1,5 millones de videos de los ataques de Nueva Zelanda en todo el mundo. Bloqueó 1,2 millones de los videos al momento de la carga, lo que significa que no habrían sido vistos por los usuarios. Les informó Abel Alvarado, como CNN en español.
Estás escuchando La Voz Hispana Radio.
Buenas tardes. Gracias por estar con nosotros esta tarde y tenemos el placer en tener aquí con nosotros Katie Beecham y el señor Ed Rodríguez, que trabajan unos voluntarios. Ed Rodríguez, 8 años con lo que se llama Urban Resources Initiative, la iniciativa de recursos urbanos basado aquí en New Haven, y apoyan en sembrar árboles por toda la ciudad aquí de New Haven de gratis, y ellos nomás siembran árboles con el trabajo de voluntarios, con miembros de la comunidad, y nomás si uno pide por ese árbol. Y los requisitos para obtener su propio árbol enfrente de su casa o enfrente de su negocio, tienen que comprometerse a apoyar a que crezca por 3 años ese arbolito, para que lo suficiente a que sus raíces estén fuertes, y durante esos 3 años más o menos darle agua una vez a la semana, y pueden tener un árbol creciendo, dándole sombra. Las hojas, Katie nos contó en inglés, limpian el aire que uno respira, muchas veces los químicos que no son buenos para el ser humano, que están en el ambiente. Las hojas atrapan esos químicos y son como filtros para el aire que uno respira. También la abundancia del árbol, dándole sombra en un día caliente, no solamente asombra enfrente de la casa para que la casa no se siente tan caliente, pero también ayudan que el aire afuera se siente más fresco. Y cuando le pregunté al señor Ed Rodríguez por qué ama tanto los árboles, él dice que también porque él ama también las aves. ¡Qué bonito! Y antes de entrar al comercial, estamos hablando de los diferentes tipos de árboles nativos acá en New Haven, y el árbol más famoso de esta área es el árbol que se llama elm, porque New Haven, muchos dicen, es la ciudad de los árboles elm, the Elm City. Por eso lo llaman a New Haven the Elm City. Pero desde los 1830, los árboles elm han tenido problemas en poder sobrevivir, incluyendo los seres humanos. Hemos cambiado el ambiente local de New Haven. Antes estaba lleno de agua. Había bastante agua. En inglés se llama swamp, un clima parecido a como Centroamérica, que han tenido que quitar agua para crecer árboles de banano, por ejemplo, porque muchas de esas áreas eran llenos de agua, incluyendo partes de Puerto Rico, y de ahí el ser humano llegó, quitó el agua, y eso acá en New Haven causó problemas para el árbol elm, y de ahí lo más recién, una plaga atacando a los árboles, Dutch Elm Disease era el nombre de la plaga, y los pocos que existen son grandes y fuertes, pero estaban ubicados de una manera donde el ambiente los protegió y a la enfermedad, la plaga, no los pudo alcanzar por el momento. Pues eso fue mi esfuerzo en traducir la mayoría de la conversación. Y hay varios impactos positivos de los árboles, incluyendo colectando el agua en la calle después de una tormenta como esponjas, ayudando a filtrar también el agua que llega otra vez a nuestros océanos y asegurándose también que los océanos se mantienen saludables. Y estamos hablando sobre diferentes tipos de árboles que son nativos, que si uno quiere sembrar un árbol, quiere sembrar de acuerdo con el ambiente como existe hoy en día. Estamos hablando de un árbol que se llama white oak, blanco oak, y también pine oak. Y hay árboles aquí nativos que se llama red maple y sugar maple. Esos dos tipos de árboles dan miel. Y hay miel que uno le gusta poner sobre sus pancakes. Sí. Y uno puede encontrar eso de, ¿cómo se llama la parte, el bark en español?
¿El parque?
El bark, la parte en medio del árbol. ¿Cómo se dice en español? No las hojas, pero
el tronco.
El tronco, gracias. Sí. El tronco del árbol maple, ahí se encuentra la miel. Del tronco se saca la miel. Pues de ahí, el señor Ed Rodríguez, usted ha estado con URI como voluntario por 8 años. Y me estaba contando que vio a Katie, aunque se ve pequeñita, es bien fuerte.
Eso es correcto.
¿Y cuánto pesa cada árbol, más o menos?
Tenemos árboles como 200, 300 libras. 200,
300 libras, y hay que levantarlo, hacer un hoyo y plantearlo, sembrarlo. Y de ahí, ¿usted cuántos árboles ya ha sembrado, ha tenido parte en sembrar?
Cuando estaba con Katie que ella era mi intern,
ajá.
Me acuerdo que esa temporada sembramos 21 árboles.
21 árboles, 21 in one season. Wow. So, thank you, Mr. Ed Rodriguez. Because of you, 21 trees have been planted along with URI and Katie's support. And that means a lot of children will benefit in that particular neighborhood for having done that. Gracias por su esfuerzo en mejorar el ambiente. 21 árboles es bastante y va a beneficiar a los niños, muchos niños. Y eso es lo triste. Acá en New Haven hay un alto nivel de asma, más alto que cualquier otra parte del país. New Haven y 3 otras ciudades son las ciudades con asma, nivel de asma de niños acá en este país, y el trabajo que ustedes están haciendo es tratando de combatir el asma también. So that asthma is disproportionately higher here in New Haven. It's one of the top 3 cities in the country, I believe, with asthma rates impacting children.
Además, quería decir que nosotros en el programa envolvemos los niños, los padres y los niños. En lugar de tener los niños con una laptop,
en la computadora, enfrente de la tele,
pues tenemos este programa que educamos a los niños cómo sembrar los árboles, y ellos se ponen tan contentos en participar en el programa con nosotros, sembrando los árboles.
Entonces, si hay padres con niños y quieren participar, ¿cómo se pueden conectar?
A la misma vez que vamos a puerta por puerta, como dije antes, a ver quién desea un árbol al frente de su habitación. Le decimos que puedan traer, le recomendamos que traiga a sus niños también para que se vayan informando de cómo es el proceso y aprendiendo y cuánto es la importancia de estos árboles. Nosotros haciendo esto en la comunidad estamos también beneficiando de el climate change.
Sí.
Que nosotros no sabemos, muchas veces no sabemos por qué está pasando el climate change,
el cambio del ambiente tan fuerte.
Y es nosotros, aunque sea un granito de arena, estamos beneficiándonos con esto, la plantación de estos árboles también.
Can you say a little bit about that, Katie? Mr. Rodriguez mentioned, with every tree that's planted, we're fighting against climate change. Sure. What are the benefits of one tree around the battle against climate change?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly every little bit counts. It's funny, we were talking earlier about how talking to your plants matters, and when you're talking to your plants, you're feeding them with the carbon dioxide that you're exhaling, and carbon is one of the ingredients in photosynthesis, the process that the trees use to actually take the energy from the sun, carbon from the air, water from the ground, and basically make sugar, the energy that the trees run on. So carbon is kind of a key ingredient, which means trees are a really important part of the solution when it comes to drawing carbon out from the air, storing it for the long term, and then trying to limit eventually those effects that carbon has on trapping heat inside our atmosphere. So trees are definitely integral. A lot of people think about combating climate change by protecting large forests or planting huge swaths of forest, which is also extremely important, but in an urban area, you can have those same effects, but also have all the other kind of human benefits that come from having trees, whether it's beauty, its property values,
So climate change has affected already Latin America. There are parts that are now completely flooded, where homes used to be. The coastal lines have been redrawn. Never mind the huge hurricane that destroyed Puerto Rico last year. Never mind Haiti with its land erosion because of trees have been removed from major parts of Haiti. So climate change has affected Latin America in already in impactful ways, where something that hasn't been spoken often is refugees due to climate change that's happening. The summers are hotter. The temperatures have risen over 100 plus degree weather, constant with no break. That's something that's not being talked about, but it's affected Central America already. And so will planting a tree in New Haven make a difference in Latin America?
It can. I mean, it is the beauty and the curse of climate change, is that one action in one part of the world can have an effect in other parts of the world. I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to weather patterns and currents and everything that affects how things translate that way. But one thing is absolutely for certain, which is that one of the reasons that climate change is impacting parts of the country is because of the actions of people around the world, especially in your industrialized nations, unfortunately, and having an impact on locations that don't really have the resources to oftentimes deal with the consequences.
Pues estamos hablando de el tema de cómo está cambiando el clima tan fuerte, tan rápido. Por ejemplo, en Puerto Rico, el huracán que topó a María, que topó bien fuerte. Eso dicen que los huracanes van a ser más frecuentes, con más fuerza, y parte por el ser humano que ha cambiado el ambiente, toda la polución y todo lo que hemos hecho. Está causando más fuerte las temperaturas más altas en Latinoamérica, en Centroamérica. Muchos no han hablado de los refugiados por causa del cambio del medio ambiente en Latinoamérica, en Centroamérica. En Guatemala, en la parte donde vivían mis abuelos, ya tan fuerte el calor, días donde era más de 100 y más grados la temperatura, sin ningún cambio en tener aire fresco, era puro calor, a un cierto nivel donde es bien difícil hacer lo que uno tiene que hacer porque es tan fuerte el calor y gente más probable en tener ataques de corazón y todo eso. Y hay partes en Centroamérica que antes estaban, habían playas, ahora inundaciones, y ya se ha perdido también bastante área costal. Todo esto viene sobre el cambio del clima, del medio ambiente, y le pregunté a Katie si sembrando un árbol en New Haven hace una diferencia en Latinoamérica. Y la respuesta, señor Rodríguez, es...
Yo creo que sí. 100%.
Y en 2018 habían 560. Gracias. 560 árboles que sembraron el año pasado. Y este año, ¿cuál es la meta? ¿Tiene una meta? Do you have a goal for this year?
Yeah, actually her goal is, it's funny listening to that because it's strikingly similar. 560 is also his yearly goal for this year. And what is kind of interesting is that is sort of the number of trees that we can plant given the budget. But what's also great is that the money that pays for the tree planting, that comes from the city, the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Trees. So we're extremely grateful and lucky to have a city that supports that kind of work. That money also goes toward creating space for new trees to grow, because a lot of what has happened in New Haven is that there's actually a great disparity between neighborhoods that have a lot of trees and neighborhoods that don't have so many. And one reason that some neighborhoods don't have so many trees is because there simply isn't space to plant them. The sidewalk is so wide, it extends all the way from the street to the front lawn without any kind of tree pit or location to plant a tree. So what's great is that we actually have the ability to come in with a concrete saw, cut out a planting space, usually it's about 4 by 8 feet, 32 square feet, and create a location to plant a new tree. And so we've been doing a lot of that in different neighborhoods in New Haven, in Fairhaven, in Dwight, Dixwell, The Hill, creating new space for trees to be planted.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so let's say I'm just a regular resident and I want a tree, and I know a few neighbors who might want it, and their kids. How many days in the summer can the kids be engaged?
Oh my gosh.
que si uno quiere árboles enfrente de su hogar, y los vecinos también, como cuántos días pueden mantener a los niños ocupados en el esfuerzo de sembrar.
Bueno, ahora estamos, es una vez a la semana.
Una vez a la semana.
Que tenemos programa. Quién sabe si en el futuro podemos extenderlo un poco más, pero tenemos que ir por la dirección del director y del programa, a ver si eso se puede hacer.
¿Y cómo es que uno en la comunidad se pueden comunicar con ustedes? So how can someone in the community get in touch with you?
Cuando venga ahora en este otro mes.
That's right.
Vamos a tener un intern de Yale que viene a trabajar conmigo. Entonces hacemos una lista, hacemos un rótulo donde lo ponemos al frente de mi casa, con el número del intern, número mío, para que nos llamen si desean un árbol. Y el día que vamos a plantar, escogemos el día en la semana que vamos a sembrar los árboles.
Y de ahí pueden escoger de varias especies de árbol? Is there like a choice of different species of trees?
Absolutely, yeah. We plant about 50 different types of trees, and part of it is because we've learned over time, like you were talking about the elm trees, that if we just plant one species of elm, we're really not creating a very resilient urban forest, because if one thing comes through, whether it's a fungal disease or an insect, then all of a sudden there goes our entire population of trees. So we plant about 50 different species, which also means that people really have a lot of choices, and people get really excited about making choices, and that's part of the fun of the process.
Si ellos escogen sus árboles, lo que ellos desean, y desde luego el intern sabe qué árbol se puede plantar dónde, pues así vamos.
Qué bonito. Entonces uno puede escoger de 50 diferentes especies de árbol, y hay un libro que uno puede ingresarse en la página web de Urban Resources Initiative, y ahí se puede encontrar un libro sobre la variedad de especies de árbol aquí en New Haven. Y hay 50 que uno puede escoger. De esos 50, yo dije 50, ¿verdad? Quick question. What if you don't own your house and you're renting? Can you still ask? Si uno está alquilando casa, uno todavía puede pedir a tener un árbol enfrente de su casa.
Absolutely. Yeah, for street trees, that's actually city land that we plant on. So as long as the resident is interested in the tree and will water it, then we can plant it. That being said, a lot of residents want to ask their landlords before, and that is perfectly fine too. There's absolutely nothing, but that is actually, but it's city land usually when we're planting.
Oh, that's such an important point. Que si uno alquila, todavía tiene la oportunidad de pedir para un árbol, a que lo siembren de gratis enfrente de su casa, porque hay una parte enfrente de la casa que es la propiedad de la ciudad, no del dueño de la casa, y es la parte que está más al lado a donde los carros pasan.
Las aceras.
En las aceras, más cerca de las aceras. Y ahí la ciudad son las personas que controlan ese terreno. Pero igual mucha gente, por respeto del dueño de la casa, le pide permiso, pero no es necesario, pero sí es un punto clave bien importante para mantener buena relación con el dueño de la casa.
La razón que le pedimos que le pidan un permiso al dueño de la propiedad es porque necesitamos que ellos autoricen a usar el agua para un punto importante.
Eso es bien importante.
Para que se pueda usar el agua de su habitación para...
Y más o menos es como 25 galones, dijo, de agua a la semana. A la semana para ese árbol recién sembrado. Y otro punto bien importante, March through May 20th.
That's right.
If you'd like to share a little about why this season is important.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the season where we'll be planting about 200 trees for different residents all over the city. And right now we still have plenty of spaces open in our spring planting schedule. So anyone who's a resident and is interested in getting a tree can make a request, and they can call us, they can visit our website, they can email us. There's a lot of different ways to get in touch.
Entonces, para la temporada de marzo y mayo, ¿por qué es tan importante?
Esa es la ocasión que o sea, el tiempo que nosotros vamos a tocarle a las puertas para empezar a reclutar nuevos grupos, nuevas personas voluntarias para empezar la siembra.
Muy bien, entonces uno se puede comunicar con URI. ¿Tiene un número de teléfono? Do you have a phone number to call?
Sure.
So, primero que hay que pedir una cita para que siembren el árbol, y escoger también, hay una conversación con la persona en qué tipo de árbol uno quiere. me mandaron, cuando lo hice para mi mamá, me mandaron por correo una lista de las varias especias y de ahí escogí con mi mamá la especia y del árbol y llegaron y ayudamos a sembrar el árbol con la promesa de darle agua una vez a la semana. Y ya está bien bonito, es uno que florece, tiene muchas flores durante la primavera. Entonces uno puede conseguir eso de gratis llamando a 203-432-6189. Pueden llamar ese número para conseguir su árbol. Mil gracias, señor Ed Rodríguez y Katie Beecham, por apoyar el bienestar de la comunidad. Y muchas generaciones van a tener beneficios por esa gran labor que están haciendo, no solamente aquí en New Haven, pero también por todo el mundo, porque lo que uno hace acá a nivel local con el medio ambiente sí muchas veces impacta a nivel global. Mil gracias por ser héroes, y también de parte de los árboles también les quiero agradecer mucho.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
So on behalf of the trees, I also like to thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Santiago, gracias por tenernos.
And before we leave, I want to state as well a big thank you to State Representative Ezequiel Santiago's family out in Bridgeport for his sacrifice in supporting the community in Bridgeport, the Latino community throughout Connecticut. This past weekend, he died at the age of 45 from a heart attack. And so our deepest blessings to his family in this time. Y quiero agradecer también al representante Ezequiel Santiago por todo su esfuerzo y el apoyo de la familia a la comunidad de no solamente de Bridgeport, pero también de todo de Connecticut. Los latinos aquí en Connecticut están con la familia y nuestros pésimos, nuestras oraciones. Hasta luego.